So on a live stream the other day, I was asked a question, actually two questions that I wanted to answer. I figured I'd make a video about it. So the first one is I was asked, what are the most prominent signs of spawning a amateur astrologer? I would say one of the first things that is very obvious when there's an astrologer who's a noob at practicing, they merge planets and signs and houses. And advanced astrologers, we don't do that. Every sign is ruled by a planet, but it's not the planet, and it's not like they're glued together. A sign embodies its own energy, its own list of things and characteristics that make it so. A planet is separate. So a planet doesn't need the sign, but the sign needs the planet. And they are uniquely separate, even though they work together. So when you are discussing Jupiter, you do not have to merge Sagittarius in there whatsoever. When you discuss Sagittarius, you have to mention it's the planet that it rules, or the planet that it's ruled by, of course, but understanding the depth of Sagittarius is one thing, and understanding what Jupiter represents, means, and does is a totally separate thing. Another thing is houses are always merged with planets and signs in amateur practice, and in advanced practice, it's not. The wheel of life is, nothing to do with merging it constantly with a sign or a planet. They work together, but it's its own force. So that's right there on my answer. That's one of the things. A second thing is when one astrologer verbalizes, these are noobs, when they start dismissing one thing entirely. Ignore this, just focus on this. This doesn't matter, it's this. No. No. You don't start erasing things because you don't like them or you want to seem different. So that's like amateur right away. Another thing that I see very common is when generalizations are made without working the collective. So if you're doing a collective read, if you're doing a horoscope for the collective, the general masses, then that's okay to form generalizations. That's what they're about, because there are a lot of things that match, a lot of patterns and stuff that affect certain groups and things. But to start saying all rising signs are going to have this thing, like there's this person that was pointed in my direction from some of my followers, and I just think it's unfortunate that they're publicly showing themselves online and they are spewing garbage. They're saying that everyone with this rising sign is going to have this happen in their love life, or that everyone in this rising sign is going. I'm like, oh my God. And the sad part is all the people listening to them. That's really sad. But people are smart, honestly, and they will wise up. Just like if they're buying stuff at a store one day and they notice, this isn't working for me, something's off, I'm not digesting this food right, something's off with the ingredients. Like, people catch on. Eventually, hopefully, people learning spirituality, they will flock towards people that make sense, and they know what they're talking about, and they'll start sifting through the garbage. But at first, it could just be this swarm of knowledge that, because TikTok is great, and all social media is great for informing. Especially, TikTok does have that positivity about it, where it does inform a great deal about, the globe. But it also is the tabloid. And in the spiritual niche, because people are turning to it for answers, for help, for aid, for clarity. What happens a lot is what I call the invisible AI. So right now, a lot of people, if you're not a digital native, you really can't tell the AI versus real. If you're a digital native, so Exennial, Millennial, Gen Z, Alpha, for the most part, they're going to have this natural ability to pick out what's not there. And then some Gen X and some boomers will be clueless, and some of them will be right on there as well. So it depends. It's not a generational thing. Besides, technically speaking, in sociology, those generations are actually bogus. But I guess I'll leave it for another video, because it's a pet peeve of mine, that the masses keep regurgitating the same garbage on there about generations. And I also have something to say about generations and astrology, so I think that's important. But anyway, side note, I think that it's not really a generational thing. Just as you know, there are just groups and things that are more in tune to, hey, that's BS. That was total AI. So some people have a knack for it and picking it out, and some people don't. But the thing is that it's still becoming uncomfortable where what's reality versus what's false. Come on, it's right in front of you. And this, but at least with AI, people will say, okay, a giraffe jumping on a trampoline and then ending up in a bottle of ketchup, it's obvious. But what's not so obvious is when you are in the spiritual niche, you're learning, you're turning to it for knowledge, and you can't decipher what's real or what's fake. And your intuition might tell you, but then your brain will say no, and then you get a lot of lost puppies. And that's difficult. And that's a learning curve. And a lot of people, it's going to spend a lot of money in the wrong places. They're going to go through a lot of loops in their life because they're not going to get the clarity because of the BS that's around. That's the hard part about such a wonderful niche. At the same time, it's at your fingertips, it's there, and there are a lot of answers in it. So, I guess everybody's going to have their own journey. The whole thing is that, try to research, try to stay aware, try to see what is, layered on crap. So again, nobody should be making generalizations for the masses based on someone's rising. If you see that, that is absolutely BS. You have to, if a person is doing collective readings, then you can do that, for suns and risings. If you're reading the generalized chart and you're addressing certain planetary positions that are happening, that's fine. That's expected. That's how it's done. But to take everyone with a rising sign and basing it on nothing going on in the astrological night sky, so to just these blanket, out of nowhere, convoluted, strange, garbage assumptions, so that everyone with a rising is going to have that fate, they don't know what they're talking about. That's not only an amateur, but a dumbass. Okay, so that's crazy. Another thing of amateurs is when they try to have all the answers in all areas. There are specialties. When when you start on your journey of learning, you start learning, of course, how to read a chart, what do the planets represent, what does this mean, what does that, and you start, but when you get to a certain level, you start specializing and seeing what talents you have. And then being a person enough to say, I don't excel in this branch. I like it. I can do some, but this is where I help my clients. This is where I shine. Every astrologer has a gift. Every astrologer has their own, just like every chef, just like every author. They don't write in every genre. I'm sure a writer can write in any genre, but a writer usually has their forte, has their area. So that's another thing. When a newbie astrologer starts saying that they can shine and do everything, not really. You're going to have your one signature, your one thing that you do extremely well, and stuff like that. So I would say those are the main things. Yeah. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.